Hey everyone, and welcome to the video. My name is Neil. Thanks for joining me today, and we're going to talk some Winnipeg Jets and we're going to talk some Edmonton Oilers, two Canadian teams battling out in the first round. We've got the Toronto Maple Leafs and the Montreal Canadiens on the other half. They're doing their thing, but the Edmonton Oilers and the Winnipeg Jets both are a really interesting story because they're the way they're built is completely different, absolutely different in basically every position, and it's just an interesting matchup. It's a little hard to predict. Now if you look at stats, if you look at paper, you could make your predictions either way. But I think this series might be a little bit more interesting than most people think. So usually in these series previews, this is the last one, by the way, I go through and I talk about the stats. I compare some seasonal stats. But as I'm filming this, Edmonton actually hasn't finished their season, so I'm not going to do that now. By the time I edit this video and get it out, their season may be done. So I may put the stats on the screen, but I'm just going to skip that part. You can look at the stats yourself if you want, compare the two teams. I'm just going to jump right into the factors that I think these teams need to really focus on or be aware of, or do correctly or not do to avoid something that bad that happens. So let's get into this. This isn't going to be a long video, guys. Edmonton, let's start out with them. So my number one factor for Edmonton is the most obvious one you could ever put on paper, and it really shouldn't be there. I should have maybe gone a little bit more in depth, but it just seems so obvious. I just have to say it. McDavid has to be McDavid. And McDavid doesn't even have to be McDavid of this year. McDavid could be McDavid of any other year. He just has to be the McDavid that we know. If he, for some reason, goes into a slump or just loses it, or I don't know, I can't see that happening ever. But if it does, the Edmonton Oilers are not going to win the series. Edmonton cannot win the series without McDavid. They can't win the next series, and they sure as heck ain't win the Stanley Cup without McDavid. So he is their most important player. If you argue that, if you think they can win without McDavid, I strongly disagree with you. Second point I have here is Smith. So what goaltender are we going to get? Are we going to get the really consistent one who just, he's unbeatable at certain times? Or are we going to get the not necessarily typical, but in memory, there have been some inconsistencies from Smith in the playoffs. Lately, he's played so well. From what I've watched anyway. I don't watch a ton of Edmonton games, but the games I watch, he's played very well. And I think we're going to get that Smith. I think we're going to get dialed in, focused Smith, and it's going to be a pretty good series. I think he's going to really impress a lot of people. Maybe some of his naysayers, who I guess I am sometimes. I think he's going to prove us wrong. So I'm looking forward to that. The third thing here is there needs to be more depth scoring to go deep. So this kind of goes back to the first point. It's great that McDavid puts out the amount of offense that he does, and he's got Draisaitl there, who is an incredible player as well. And there are some other little pieces that can contribute to, even like inner depth pieces like Yamamoto or someone. Those players can contribute, but there needs to be depth offense or depth scoring beyond that, because Edmonton's going to run into a team, and if Winnipeg doesn't do it, maybe Toronto does it, or maybe Montreal does it. And beyond that, for sure, maybe another team does it, like the Islanders or Carolina. You're going to run into a team that's going to play the matchup game, and they're going to shadow McDavid, and I know he's fast, okay? I understand that he's fast, but other players have fast players as well. Other teams have fast players as well. And it can be done. So Edmonton will run into this situation. And not only can they shadow McDavid, but they can also shadow Draisaitl. And when you shut both of those guys down, it's not good for Edmonton. So Edmonton really needs to dig deep into their depth. And I think they might. I underestimated them this year at the beginning. I actually predicted them to not make the playoffs. But I've really enjoyed watching them play this year. They've really impressed me. They're still a very front-loaded team, obviously. But I've come to really respect Edmonton a lot more this year. They've grown tremendously. And I think they have potential to go deep. I really do believe that they could beat Winnipeg, and I do believe that they could beat either Montreal or Toronto, who, regardless of who they play. I think they're going to have a very hard time to beat Toronto, but I think they can beat the Maple Leafs. Let's move over to Winnipeg and discuss some factors there. I made these notes a while ago. I just have written down, get the mojo back. I guess I knew what I meant when I wrote that, but it threw me off guard when I first looked at it. It's been a while since I looked at these. What I mean by that is Winnipeg has a really great structure, a really great system. I love their depth. I love the way they're coached, but they just lost it. In these past 2 months of the season, they've just completely lost it. They're probably one of the worst teams in the last half of the season in the whole league. In the whole league, there's no doubting that. They were like definitely bottom 5. Like it was just an abysmal stretch of games, and they are not that bad. This is a good team. They need to get that mojo back. I don't care what they need to do. Have a cake party, hold hands on the beach. Whatever Winnipeg needs to do to reconnect and get it done, man, they got to do it because they need that mojo back. Number 2, Connor Hellebuyck needs to be their best player. So with Edmonton, obviously, Connor McDavid is going to be their best player. But Winnipeg is more spread out. So you could say, well, let me ask you this. Should Scheifele, or does Scheifele have to be their best player? No, he doesn't for them to be successful. Does Blake Wheeler have to be their best player for them to be successful? No. Does Kyle Connor? No. Does Connor Hellebuyck? I think yes. I think Connor Hellebuyck needs to be their best player, and I know goalies aren't players, but you know what I mean. He has to be their best roster player. He just has to be. And he has that ability. He's very underrated. He definitely goes through stretches where he looks a little questionable for sure, but he's definitely one of the most underrated goalies in the league, and he has to be their best player. They will not win unless he is, in my opinion. The third one, figure out a way to shut down Edmonton power play or don't take penalties. It's as simple as that. Edmonton has the best power play in the league. That thing is an absolute monster. I think they run it like 28% or something, which is the best in the league by at least 2% maybe, or maybe it's 3%. But still, this is a team that just absolutely dominates the power play. Winnipeg really needs to play disciplined hockey. They need to concentrate on being smart with their sticks and not taking especially stupid penalties in the offensive zone with their stick, hooks and slashes and cross checks and all that stuff. They need to be responsible. You can play physical, but also be responsible at the same time. And Winnipeg needs, this is the most important thing. They cannot find themselves, just constantly killing penalties. They will not win this series if that happens because Edmonton will crush them. They have such a dominating power play. So either find out a way to shut down the power play or don't take penalties. It's literally as simple as that. It could be their absolute downfall to this series, and that's something I'm really worried about actually for the Winnipeg Jets. Even if they do get their mojo back, if they don't figure out a way to stop that power play or just be disciplined in general, they are in trouble. So my official prediction for this series is the Edmonton Oilers are going to win this series. I've picked 6 games. I went back and forth between 6 and 7. I'm really worried about the last 2 months of stretch of Winnipeg hockey. I'm not sure which Winnipeg we're going to get. I'm going to be cheering for Winnipeg, but objectively and realistically, I'm definitely choosing Edmonton to win this series. I'm picking them in 6. Some people are picking a sweep. I don't know about that. I think definitely, Winnipeg can definitely win at least a couple of games, I think. So Edmonton in 6 is my decision. Thank you guys for watching. I really appreciate it. Let me know down below in the comment section. Are you picking Winnipeg? Are you picking Edmonton? Hope you guys are having a great day. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button if you're new, and I'll catch you later. Adios.